with regard to the Community Development Block Grant. It is a requirement. There was one initially before the grant was given by the state, and now this is a follow-up. And that's the purpose of this. And with that, I'll read the notice. Town of Wheatfield calling for a public hearing regarding the implementation of Stakes of Buffalo, Inc. project. Whereas the Town of Wheatfield secured a Community Development Block Grant to support Stakes of Buffalo project located at 3338 Niagara Falls Boulevard in the town. And whereas the Town of Wheatfield is holding a hearing regarding this grant with the purpose of obtaining citizen views regarding concerning any aspect of the project's implementation and any project outcomes. Now therefore be it resolved that a public hearing be held regarding the Stakes of Buffalo project at the Wheatfield Town Hall, 2800 Church Road, Wheatfield, New York, 14120 on March 9th, 2020, 7 p.m. or as soon possible thereafter. And be it further resolved, the clerk shall duly publish a notice of the hearing in the official town newspaper at least 8 days prior to the scheduled hearing date.
Does anyone have any comments or questions related to Stakes of Buffalo?
Ma'am, you have to go to the microphone.
Yeah, drop that. There you go.
What address is 3308 Niagara Falls Boulevard? Is that a business?
What address?
Yeah, that he just spoke of?
I believe it's 3338.
Is it?
Pelicanos?
Ah, that's what we're here for.
Okay.
Our backyard butts up to Pelicanos.
Okay.
And we'd like to know, is there going to be a fence put up? You're all invited to come sit in our backyard and look at this metal warehouse that we now look at.
I'll let our building inspector speak with you, but I know there is fencing and screening, I believe, to go up.
How tall?
And they're operating under a temporary certificate of occupancy, I believe, and that as soon as the weather is, they're able, they will put the fencing and screening up. Mike, maybe you want to go a little further with it? This is our building inspector, Mike Clark.
How tall is the fence going to be?
I believe it's 6 feet.
Can it be taller?
6 feet, yes.
Can we have one of those walls like they have at the thruway?
No, 6 feet.
That's it? That's as tall as the town allows?
If you want to check with the building department and look at the site plan, you're more than welcome. I'm sure they will be glad to show it to you. And you can look at any aspects of the site plan, including the landscaping that's required, the fence that's going up, the screening. It's all on file with the building department downstairs, so you're welcome to come in anytime and look at it.
Can I ask one other question?
Sure.
Why residents of Knoll Drive weren't notified that Pelicanos was going to build there?
Well, they went through the site plan process, and because the zoning was correct.
Yeah, I know it's commercial.
They did have informational meetings. They had several meetings, Mike, correct, with the planning board.
Well, why weren't we notified, though? I don't go, because when there was going to be a two-family house, kitty corner across the street from us, we all got letters.
Yeah, that was because it was for a two-family dwelling. Pelicanos use is permitted under the zoning law, so it had to go through the site plan process, which, as Mike said, took well over a year to include the landscaping and the fencing and everything else that you'll see as soon as the weather breaks, where they can get that in there. And I think you'll be more than pleased when you do see it, because they put a lot of time into making sure it was screened from the neighbors. But if you want to come in and
come sit in my backyard and look at the red metal roof.
I mean, if you want to come in and look, I mean, I know what you're looking at now, but you have to realize the construction season is very short, and they worked all winter, and there was snow up until just a few days ago. So for them to plant any seeding or put the trees and plantings up, it's impossible till the weather breaks. So I would say that they're under a temporary certificate of occupancy. Stop in and look at the site plan at the building department, and I think you'll be pleased to see what they are going to do. and hopefully by spring it'll be taken care of.
Did you want to say anything?
I looked at the plans myself, and
I'm sorry, just speak up to the microphone a little bit. Thank you.
I did look at the plans myself,
Okay.
and they are putting a 6-foot fence in, which, with their ground being elevated a couple feet higher than ours, the 6-foot isn't going to actually do any good for us because we have the headlights are coming over into at our house, so I don't think 6-foot's going to actually do it with the way the land is elevated. I mean, right now we have lights from cars onto our house. We have to keep all our, blinds down. I mean, just there's no privacy whatsoever there.
And I know you don't right now. Again, all I'm saying is that give it some time till spring sets. I talked to Mr. Pelicano last week, and he assured me that before they have their grand opening, that the fencing and screening and everything will be in place.
Yeah,
But
I'm sure
if it
that's
doesn't work
true.
for you at that time, then I would say maybe come back to the town, but I don't know what we can do. It went through, like I say, a year-long process of drainage, and all those things. Once they're complete, the paving isn't complete, they're operating under a temporary CO.
Yeah.
And again, if they don't meet the criteria, then Mike can revoke their certificate of occupancy.
Okay. I mean, it'll be too late, though, if they already put a 6-foot fence in. They're
I'm
not
sorry?
going to... If they put a 6-foot fence up already, it's going to be too late for them to make any changes.
Well, I'm surprised that something at 6 feet won't stop headlights from shining in your backyard. That baffles me.
No, because if the further you are away with light,
Mm-hmm.
it expands. So it's going to go right over top of the fence. I have a 4-foot up right now, and that's like, you put a 6-foot, it's going to be like a 4-foot compared to the land. If their land is higher than ours,
Well,
it's going to be as high as the land.
Their land is almost 3 feet higher than
No,
our
I know it is.
property line, so any fence,
Yeah.
it's not going to help.
Well, I don't know what to say other than they went through the site plan process and that's what was approved. I'm hoping that it does satisfy you folks and that then when the fence and the screening is put up that it does work. If not, then you'll have to come back to, I guess, the town, but the site plan was approved and it's been posted in the Tribune. It was posted on our town's website. Again, this has been a year-long process.
Yeah, and the plans are totally different from the start. It was supposed to be a concrete building, like a stucco. I mean, the
Well,
plans
again,
have
it went
totally
through site
changed.
plan, and they had wanted to put a concrete building in, but because of the cost of many things, they changed the plan, and it had to go back to the planning board. They approved it as it is, and that's what they put up.
And you guys would all be happy living there with that in your backyard?
I can't respond to that. I don't live there, and
No, I know.
It's a commercially zoned piece of property. It's been commercially zoned for as long as I can remember.
But
And
we
they-
had houses and trees back there.
And they've
so-
done everything according to the town law and zoning laws and zoning regulations. So they're in violation of low laws at this time because they're under a temporary CO. Mike has given them time to comply with the law, to get their plantings in, to get their screenings in, to get their paving in, and get the fencing in. I don't know what else I can tell you.
Is there any way you can change it? I don't read the Tribune, and I don't go online.
Well, no, there's no way you can change it because that's what was done. And Matt, I know what your response would be legally, but I don't think there is any recourse.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to add, this is the, obviously, town board here. There's a planning board which goes through site plan approval, which looks at all these things, everything from screening to fencing to the building design and all those, and there were numerous meetings by that board, and they were all advertised. And I don't know how you saw this advertisement and maybe not others, but they were all advertised, they're put in the paper, and they're published. And at those meetings, they have public input, and that's when people come. But ultimately, through that process, they come up with a final plan. And the final plan is the one that's adhered to, and if it's not adhered to, well, then building inspection gets involved and says you've got to build according to that plan. But at this point, they got an approved plan, went through the proper process, went through the public meetings, took all the public input. I'm not sure, it appears you folks weren't here, but other neighbors were there, and this is the plan they came up with. We, at this point, cannot revoke what the planning board had granted because it went through the proper channels. So we can't tell them you got to take the building down now or you got to do it differently as long as they follow that plan.
Well, that's what we're trying to prevent them putting a 6-foot fence up when it's not going to do any justice for us at all.
I'm not sure. Their hours of operation are 10 till 6. I'm not sure. Are they getting deliveries or dumpster trucks or what's coming in there
And then the
off
fans,
hours?
the fans alongside
They're
the building.
they're 9 to 7.
9 to
But
7.
still,
It's light till,
well,
still
right
light.
now it is, but in the, the off season, you're still gonna have, I had, last week when they opened up, there was cars parked and the lights are right on the house. And then they got the blowers for their exhaust, you can hear it in the house.
It's all alongside the building that faces the house. And then you got the delivery trucks backing up, beeping at 7 in the morning because they're delivering, whatever products they're. Come spend a day. Come sit in our backyard for a day, all of you, and you'll see. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for Pelicanos expanding, but I wish there would have been another way that we could have found out besides the Tribune.
Yeah.
It's been on the
That
town
this was gonna
website,
be.
it's been in
I
numerous
don't go on
papers.
I don't go on the online. And that's the only way I would have found that out.
Well, just so you know, I mean, and the way the town law is, we have a newspaper of record, and that's where we publish, and we put it on our website. And the town can't afford TV advertising and radio. I mean, that is the way this town and any other town or municipality, they have a newspaper paper of record, and that's how the law operates.
And
I mean,
again, I would say give it a shot and see what happens when they're complete. We can't force them to do anything other than what's in their site plan that was approved. And I'm hoping that it satisfies you. I would just say give it a chance and see what happens. I mean, the site plan's been approved. It is what it is. It is commercially zoned, and they will have completed everything that they said they would. And I'm hoping that that it works for you as well as
There's
Pelican.
no depreciation in our property if we decide to sell.
I'm sorry?
And I hope there's no depreciation in our property.
Well, again, it's been commercially zoned for as long as I can
Well,
remember.
I know, and Prohaska had his, we've been there over 20 years. Prohaska had his building there.
Sure.
And that blocks, like the boulevard in our backyard.
Yeah.
And then they had their house there, then there was the other house there,
Yeah.
and it was fine.
Which
The
they
commercial was
demolished.
fine.
Right.
It's just they knocked all that
Yeah.
down, and you come up the boulevard, you'll see it in their backyard.
Well,
and our
I know it
backyard,
was.
right from the
I knew the Prohaskas very well, but again, Pelicano owns the property. He had a right to demolish those buildings.
But you have gone back farther instead of right at our backyard?
I believe, and our engineer is not here tonight, there was some wetlands issues, so they couldn't gone back farther. So that's what restricted. If I'm correct, right, Mike, there was some wetlands? Okay. Yeah, right. Right. Right.
So now I have to get back on subject. What was it about the steaks at Buffalo with Pelicanos tonight? What is that?
Matt, you want to explain one more?
Well, they received a economic development grant from the state that helped them with their project. And this being the town applies on behalf of businesses for these economic development grants. So as part of the procedure, there has to be a hearing initially, and there was a public hearing before they got this grant to start this project. And now that the building is substantially complete, there's a secondary hearing for this type of input that you're giving now. And that's part of the law, requires 2 hearings. So that's what we're the public input now. And one other thing I'd like to add, and I know, as the supervisor said, they're operating under a temporary certificate of occupancy. They have more things to do, fence, screening, with plantings, pine trees, whatever's on the site plan. But as the supervisor says, once that's completed, and if it's not as good as you would like it to be, the door is open here because we always encourage good neighbors. And if there's something, we can talk to them and say, look, can you add a little more screening? Can you put more trees to deaden the sound or to prevent light from going up, or some pine trees or something thicker? We always try to do that. So that's part of, let them do what their site plan says, then maybe we can look at it some more. But they obviously still have stuff to do. They do have stuff to do.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you, folks. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we pray you grant wisdom to all who are in authority that order and justice
Refrain those who seek to destroy our government. We ask your divine wisdom to rest upon our leaders to guide them and protect them. Amen.
Roger, any?
I'm with that.
Thank you. For the record, all board members are present. Approval of the minutes, February 24th.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Bill payment as of March 9th, 2020. Voucher
moved.
number 202-00228 through 202-00338. A total amount of $131,561.89. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Bills are paid. Department heads. Paul Siegman.
Just a couple things tonight. I know everybody's been calling about the chipper because we've got a couple nice days of weather, so everybody's out with their chainsaws. Chipper probably won't go out until like the second week of April, first week of April. Still doing some work to it, making sure it's all set. And I don't like to have people put brush out, and we do get some more snow, which doesn't look like we're going to, at least not much. But it'll probably be like the first or second week of April that that'll start going out again. The other thing I just wanted to say was last Tuesday, we left here for Advocacy Day in Albany. Left here at 7 o'clock in the morning. We came back Wednesday night. I think I got back about 7:30. And what we do there is we go to all the assemblymen and the senators and talk to them about our CHIPS funding, which our town gets about $88,000 a year from CHIPS, $19,000 from Pave New York, and another $14,000 for the extreme weather. Well, they've done away with the extreme weather. We're trying to get that back in. 14 grand doesn't sound like a lot, but I need every dollar I can get. We're asking for an increase of CHIPS to go up to increase at 150 million from 438 million to 588 million. We haven't had an increase in 8 years. You might see that they increased the DOT budget by $3 billion. None of that comes to the local roads. That's all for DOT projects. And unfortunately, a lot of it doesn't happen around here. Your fuel tax that everybody pays in their gas, and you wonder why our roads aren't great. Well, they collect about $3 billion a year, and in the dedicated highway and bridge trust fund, they only put $2.1 billion of that in that fund. I don't know where the other $900 million goes, but that's what we were told by the facts. So we're hoping that they can bring the extreme weather back and hopefully increase CHIPS. The way the budget looks, probably not. But we go every year and we try. And I got to say that it does help, because if we do nothing and we just sit back and don't go and get after our politicians, our elected officials, if they don't hear us, they're not going to keep giving us what we're getting. Because the CHIPS is a permanent fund. The extreme weather and the Pave New York isn't. Goes on a yearly basis, or I think there's a 2-year plan or a 5-year plan. The other part is Bridge New York. Goes to tell you how bad some of our infrastructure is, and not just our town, I mean statewide. We applied for Bridge New York, and we were lucky enough to get a grant for rehabilitating a small bridge over on Cayuga Drive Extension. They give $200 million in 2016. They had 229 bridges that were applied for, 366 culverts. They were only able to fund 93 bridges and 39 culverts. In 2018, they came up with $262 million for the Bridge New York. 259 bridges applied, 514 culverts. They were able to fix 86 bridges and 79 culverts. So the money is not going as far as we'd like. We were fortunate. When you consider how many people applied for it, we were very fortunate that we did get I think it was 150,000, somewhere in there. So that was our big trip to Albany. It's a horrible bus ride. I hate it, but like I said, if we don't go, they'll just go by the wayside, and we won't keep getting these funds. This is about 25% of our paving budget comes from this money. So that's all I got, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Well, how'd you make out with the clutch repair? Was it something we definitely have to do?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if the other board members are aware of it
We,
yet.
well, okay, we got sewer and water department's old 1984, sewer jet, I don't know, probably about, what, 15, 20 years ago? We haven't done much to it. Can't even get parts for it anymore. We had to have a new pump put on it. That was $9 grand. Well, in the process of that, they found out the clutch was shot. That was another about $3 grand. To replace it is $88,000, and I don't have the money to replace it, so I think the option of fixing it, we're hoping we can get another 5, 10 years out of it by just doing this work to it.
Thank you, Paul. Rich Donner? Mike Rinaldi, Recreation Department?
Good evening. Couple of things. First thing, baseball, softball registrations will complete next week. Next Friday, the 20th after that. Got to slap you with a late fee. Starting Saturday, we will start registrations for summer camp. We'll be taking all returning families registering for full weeks this Saturday over at the youth center. And then next Saturday, we will be taking new families registering for full weeks. And then on the 28th, everybody else. The last thing, Councilman Retzlaff, you sent me a text maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago about water on the sidewalk next to the youth center. Rich Donner and our friends over at the Sewer Water Department came over last week, did a couple of things with the gutters, put a pipe in the ground, so hopefully we have mitigated that. We will find out tomorrow when it rains, but I think we got a handle on that situation and we should be all set there. So I wanted to publicly thank Rich and his guys for helping out. And that's
Thank
all I
you,
got.
Rich. That's it, Mike?
All set.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Yes.
You know, Mike, before I jump to, Arlene wants to see the end of The Bachelor, and she asked me to make it quick. Arlene, what do you have for us? Okay. Thank you, Arlene. I appreciate it. You can go. Mike Clark.
Mine's the usual. It's the first of the month, so I should have in your mailbox a copy of our reports. There is the recap of February's building permits. I want you to take a look at the last page. Even in the off season, when we have the complaints, you can see that a lot of our complaint records have gone from, just hanging out there. The last page represents what's going to court. So this has doubled in the last month. So we don't get compliance, they're moving themselves over to court. And there's a few frequent flyers on that list you might recognize too. So,
Sure.
So we still do stuff in the off season, regardless of weather conditions, and so that just want to point that out that with court.
It's certainly appreciated, Mike, and I know that it's nice to see some of these cases go to court and get them settled. I know some hang on forever. I've been there, and I know how it feels. But I want to thank you. And while you're up there, if anybody's had a chance to look at the hallway in the town hall here, it's been completely remodeled. We're almost done. We have a few things. But thanks to Mike and Lou and some of the fellows from Recreation, we did it in-house and saved the town taxpayers some money, and we had a good time doing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and
Yeah, it was.
great drywall skills from the supervisor too on that. So I got to throw your kudos in there too. So
Yeah,
it's a good
okay.
job. It was a lot of fun.
But I want to thank you, and it's certainly appreciated.
Well, thank
really
you.
is. Thank you.
Anything else?
Anybody have anything for Mike?
Well, the River Road, the one gentleman on River Road, he's been coming to court or has been cited for as many years as I can remember.
Yep.
Probably I can count it on both hands and my toes on my feet how many years he's been coming to court.
Where does he stand?
Let me just,
What takes so long?
Larry,
to
let me
get-
interrupt for a second.
Yeah.
Is this the same gentleman we talked about the other day?
No, I'm not the same
Related to
person.
some mental health issues? No?
Oh, if we're talking about the other end, yeah, the entrance end. I can't
Larry,
use names
there's
during this.
other issues there related to mental health that we're addressing.
So we're
Okay.
Adult Protective's involved, and there's a couple other agencies that are before we can. Because right now he is in pretrial, And that has been rescheduled for next month.
So we're trying to do something to, I guess, assist him.
Yeah. Yep.
Before somebody gets hurt.
Okay,
That's the restriction there, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
thank you.
Thanks.
Our town assessor, Kelly. Okay, Kelly. Constables, Roger.
Good evening. I see one error in our monthly activity report. We did 38 house checks during the month. That was not included in our monthly activity. We had issued only 8 tickets, 2 community events, 1 medical call that we responded to and assisted in. But 38 house checks indicates that the public is taking advantage of the benefit of us coming to your home when you're away, when you're on vacation, and in order to make sure your home or business is secured. So that's a big improvement from last month. Couple other things. We have 4 constables going to Homeland Security Training Center in Oriskany, free of charge. They're receiving 1 4-day and 1 3-day training sessions, which amount to over $5,000 that we are getting without cost to the town. The last item is what I would like to have the board to possibly consider for resolution is for the Constable Department to initiate a medical drop box. Several residents have come to me and requested to have a drop box here in the town hall because the closest medical drop box is in North Tonawanda at the police department. Another one is in Niagara Falls, Lewiston, Lockport. They are rather distant from the town. The reason for the medical drop box is when you have expired medications, syringes, or anything else, you can drop it into a secured container, and then we in turn will take it to the hospital or other facility to have it disposed of. That the benefit is now the residents do not have to travel far in order to get rid of these items. So the Constable Department is requesting consideration for a resolution so that we, the Constable Department, can establish a medical drop box through the Niagara County Department of Health. One other item, all of the promotional items that the Constable Department has been able to give away, the pins, backpacks, water bottles, and other items, come from the department itself, not from our budget. The town does not provide those things. We, as Constable Department, are trying to afford the town, the residents, these little trinkets in order to say, hey, we appreciate you for having us. So none of it comes out of the budget or from the town.
Okay.
So
Roger, just to go back on that medical drop-off, at the department head meeting this morning, it was discussed, and residents have asked about it, and I think it's probably a good idea. And the container that does hold the drugs is a secure container.
yes,
And the Constable Department will be responsible for collection and disposal of those drugs?
yes, exactly. We would transport it to the hospital. Actually, the facility that the Department of Health will designate.
Okay.
If they say we'll take it to DeGraff, we would in turn take it to DeGraff once a week or once a month, or
Okay.
depending upon their schedule, to dispose of these particular items.
Okay.
This is since we have a number of people that use a lot of drugs in this particular town. It is a benefit instead of going to distant facilities, we have something in town for the residents. So,
You know, it's something that we could probably do a resolution tonight. I can't imagine anybody would disagree with that, but maybe it'd be more appropriate if Matt drew up the appropriate resolution and you looked it over, and we'll do it at our next meeting. Is that okay?
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Arlene is all set. Tim Zuber is not here tonight. He's away on something personal. And motions, Matthew Brooks.
Okay, first motion from the supervisor and town board. Whereas the town contracts with Modern Disposal in order to pick up trash and recyclables from appropriate town residential properties, and whereas Modern Disposal has certain rules which must be followed by town residents with the amount of trash that can be picked up, types of trash that can be picked up, and how the trash must be bagged and contained. And whereas there occurs in the town certain instances where town property owners do not follow the prescribed guidelines and create emergency situations wherein excessive amounts of trash are deposited on private property, and whereas the excessive amounts of trash deposited on the real property within the town can create a public safety hazard, now therefore be it resolved, the town of Wheatfield is hereby authorized to contract on a case-by-case basis for emergency situations with Modern Disposal to pick up additional amounts of trash and debris from properties within the town when the trash is improperly deposited on the property, and thereafter Modern Disposal shall separately invoice the town for said additional emergency trash pickup, such that the town, through existing law, may bill the offending property owners and place additional trash pickup expenses on the real property taxes of the offending property owners.
Just before we put it to a motion, this has come up. It doesn't come up a lot, but what will happen, someone will move out of a house and they completely fill the yard with garbage. And if we have to follow our building department procedures, the stuff can sit there for a month. People pick through it. Neighbors call and complain because it's blowing all over their yards. So what this would do, we would photograph it, and I've already talked to the constable department about it. Be done on a case-by-case basis. We could have it picked up immediately and back charged to the property. So I hope that's a good enough explanation. But it'll avoid it sitting around and blowing around for 30 days. I'll make the motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the town board to authorize the town of Wheatfield to enter into a 3-year agreement with the Sanborn Pekin Public Library for library funding for the years of 2020, 2021, and 2022, beginning in 2020 at the amount of $29,800 and thereafter increasing at 2% per year for the following 2 years. The execution of said agreement is hereby approved, subject to town attorney approval of the final version of the agreement.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, next motion from Highway Department to schedule a public hearing regarding local law number 1, 2020, amending section 185-33, Schedule 1, stop intersections of the Wheatfield Town Code in order to add and codify additional stop signs within the town. The public hearing is to be scheduled April 6, 2020, 7 p.m. prior to the regularly scheduled board meeting at the Wheatfield Town Hall, 2800 Church Road, North Tonawanda, New York, 14120, and the town clerk is to publish and post appropriate notice of the public hearing.
I'll make
So-
that motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion again from the town board to approve and authorize the assignment of additional duties to the current town assessor Kelly Coughlin in the amount in recognition of said additional duties, and increase the salary of the town assessor $300 per month effective March 1st, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the Wheatfield Local Development Corporation and Town Board, approving and authorizing Wheatfield Town Supervisor Don McSwan to enter into and execute the New York State Community Development Block Grant Agreement for Barge Brewing, project number 1245 ED 945-20, regarding grant funding the amount of $266,000 to Barge Brewing, which will be administered by the Wheatfield Local Development Corporation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from Water and Sewer Department to authorize Mark Clark of the Water and Sewer Department to attend the New York Rural Water Technical Training Workshop and Exhibition, May 17th and May 20th, 2020, in Lake Placid, with the town of Wheatfield covering necessary expenses, including transportation, registration, and lodging. Said training is necessary for the renewal of the town's Department of Health water distribution license.
So moved.
Second. Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the Highway Department to authorize Paul Siegman and James Irving of the Highway Department to attend the Cornell Local Roads High School from May 31st through June 3rd, 2020 in Ithaca, with the town of Wheatfield covering the necessary expenses, including transportation, registration, and lodging.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
And that is it for the motions.
All right. I know Dave has got a presentation, our county legislature, but I just wanted, Dave, before you get up, to let you know also that I talked with Dave earlier today about the coronavirus and what the county's doing. And I just want you to know, Dave, too, that the town of Wheatfield is going to also do something to set up some guidelines under the CDC rules. And we may go further as time goes on. But Dave, with that, we'll let you go first, and you can give us your report if you would.
Thank you. Before I talk about coronavirus, tomorrow night, Tuesday night, at 6:30, we have 3 public hearings. One of those has to do with our home rule. The Article 10 that the governor is attempting to take away from us, in part is a hearing that has to do with our Article 487, which is the exemption out of the tax rate. If anybody's interested, those are 3, starts at 6:30, the regular meeting's at 7, and the rest of the resolutions will be within the agenda. All right, coronavirus. Last week on Tuesday, communications out of Washington. CDC, Center for Disease Control, has placed Western New York at that point in time as the #1 hotspot in the entire country. The reason is Pearson Airport in Toronto has not required quarantine, a 14-day quarantine, on flights coming from three countries which have posted cases, confirmed cases: China, Iran, and Italy. What that is telling us is they're coming into Toronto and crossing the border. So Washington is looking at Western New York as a very, very grave concern. We're taking steps to address that, but unfortunately our friends across the border are not as conscientious, I guess, and forward as we are to try to stop this epidemic. Last week again I was in Albany, in part meeting with the hospital associations, and a lot went on there, obviously, and a lot of discussion on the virus. Just tonight I came from a board meeting at Lockport Hospital, and through the state and the hospital association, our hospitals are staged and ready. They have procedures in place, their ERs are ready. If in case there's something there that's presented themselves, I just want you to know that from the state level to the local level, our healthcare system is ready to respond if necessary. Now, you may have read that Niagara County has 4 individuals that are on voluntary home quarantine. These are 4 people, Niagara County employees, that had said, well, I think I went to one of these places, and I'm not going to take the risk. I am going to quarantine myself for that period of time. No scare here. It's not positive. We know of none in Niagara County at this point in time that have proved positive for the coronavirus. But don't be scared by the fact that you hear that, well, what about these 4 people? It's simply a precautionary. Also in Albany yesterday, Dan Stapleton, Commissioner of Public Health, went down there with all of the rest of the state to meet and formulate plans. Niagara County is right on the edge of this thing. Dan Stapleton has got all those people lined up, and process. Tightened up, we're ready to go. We're gonna keep our fingers crossed and wash our hands. In light of that, I talked to Chairman Becky Widish over the weekend, and we're looking at, and Legislator Gooch, and we're all gonna be very careful to look at this tomorrow night, to help not spread this through the county facility. One thing the state does require, they have processes in this type of situation that keeps their state locations, what shall I say, clean. County is looking at the possibility of modeling that to say that any county employee that comes possibly from one of those countries that has been deemed positive, they come from vacation, would go on a required or in-home quarantine. Those are county employees, just to make sure that our buildings, and we've got a lot of them, not like one here, we help the best we can to keep them clean. Granted, our people in the county are all over the county. We cannot prevent people shaking hands and touching doorknobs and all of this and things. We cannot prevent that. But what we are trying to do is to make sure that from a county perspective, we're doing the best we can to keep a clean environment by allowing our employees to do that quarantine, in-home quarantine, just to be safe. Legislator Gooch, want to add to that?
Do you have anything else?
Well, Dave, I have a question for you before Jesse gets up. We met today and discussed the coronavirus, and it seems already that some people have a little bit of a panic, and we're hoping to avoid that. But one of the issues came, many people, especially this time of year, travel all over, and they said some of the places you have to be careful for are your airports, cruise ships, railways, any place where there's crowds. And I guess if you have somebody coming, say, from an area that doesn't have that virus, and they land in an airport like LaGuardia, which is one of the hot spots, and then they come back to work, I mean, how do you regulate? How do you say, well, you went through LaGuardia, you don't come to work for 5 days? I mean, where do you draw that line?
It's hard to draw the line.
Yeah.
Like you say, somebody goes to St. Martin's, I think you said?
Sure.
Not an issue with St. Martin's, but they went to Atlanta and New York City.
Right.
Airport.
Yeah.
Are they exposed? We don't know. How do you draw that line? I don't know.
Well, one of the things
Early
they
this morning, the stock market shut down. It dropped 1,800 points, like in an hour.
sure.
Folks, we're creating, it's not an epidemic, but because of the hype, we're creating a pandemic. If you remember Blizzard 77, some people know that joke, or the swine, a lot of people simply said, I'm not going to go to work. And it got to the point, your government and industry and everything was literally shutting down. So we're not trying to scare people here. We need to be cautious. We need to be conscientious. But where's that line? I can't answer that. I really don't know. But I know that there's multiple counties that are doing the same that we're looking to do tomorrow night. It's a precaution. I think we all can just be smart, think about it. And if you have friends and neighbors or family that have traveled, talk with them. Talk with them before they get back. And hopefully they're not going to be in that situation where they get that 14 days. I don't know the answer.
Yeah. But I mean, I watched a presentation today, and I mean, there's some differences between this and the swine flu. The fact that it's not treatable, you can boil things, it doesn't kill it. And again, I'm not trying to create a panic, that's not me, but I just want to be cautious in Wheatfield, because one of the things that I heard today, it's not when it comes to Niagara County, or if it comes to Niagara County, eventually it will. And they're saying that, one of the things is, there's probably been many cases in New York State now that were never recognized, because the younger people, they get very slight symptoms and they pass on. Once the test kits become available, you'll probably see more cases. Even though mild, they may be coronavirus. So.
We did hear tonight from some of our doctors at Eastern Niagara that the typical flu that's going around now, and the symptoms from the coronavirus, there's some similarities, but a person having one is not going to have the other.
Right.
But they are prepared to be able to identify one from the other.
Yeah.
Pretty clear lab test from what I understand.
Yeah, and I think from what I've heard, the coronavirus is an upper respiratory more than a flu-like. So.
think it was just good luck to them.
Thank you, Dave. Jesse?
I just have a couple things. Tomorrow is our, like Legislator Godfrey said, is our legislator meeting. And I have a copy of the resolution. I could keep it out in the lobby if anybody wants to check it out. Also, what we're doing now that we haven't really done in the past is our legislature meetings are going to be live streamed, and they're going to be on social media. So tomorrow's meeting should be on social media later in the week. It's also going to be on the county website. So if anybody wants to watch our meetings, they're now available through those couple of extra outlets. Speaking of our social media, what we're also doing different this year is all of our 15 legislators are having our own newsletters, okay? And these are going to be coming out they're also going to be on social media and our website and stuff like that. I did make copies of mine. These are going to be coming out quarterly. I do have copies of my newsletter. I'll leave them out here in the lobby as well. The only difference between this hard copy and when you go online, there's some links that obviously you can't access on the hard copy. But if you go online, there's some links available. And again, every legislator is going to have these. So that's something new to just keep everybody updated in the county. And the last thing is kind of what Legislator Godfrey touched on here. As chairman of the Niagara County Community Services Committee, I did receive a statement from Daniel Stapleton. He's our health director for the county. And he said, at this time, Niagara County has 4 voluntary quarantined individuals. Quarantine separates and restricts the movement of well people who may have been exposed to a contagious disease to see if they become sick. These public health actions are precautionary in nature and follow all CDC guidance. We will continue to provide information as a situation warrants. Now, like Mr. Godfrey said, he is going to be at our ledge meeting tomorrow, and he's going to give a full-blown presentation. We would like to encourage the public to come and check it out, listen to him, ask questions if you'd like, and it's going to be at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. I think that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Just a reminder, we also have a draft CBC. We have a draft CBC recommendation for the coronavirus, and hopefully within the next few days we'll have that ready for distribution. Board members, Larry Hellwig.
Couple things. Last meeting I announced about a couple of laptops we had ordered. I think Mike Zarbos has come in, but the one that we're going to get ready for Justin, it's being delayed to the end of the month, and I think some of these delays are possibly because of things coming out of the Far East for computer parts. The other thing is the Spectrum analog lines. I think they've already gone out to water, sewer, and surveyed that. I haven't heard if they've been out to highway yet. So they've already touched base this past week with water, sewer, on how they're going to connect into the building. I assume they'll be out at your building shortly. And the other install they have here at Town Hall, they already have connections into this building. So I'll be checking with them to find out when they're coming out to your building, Paul. That's all I have.
Thank you, Larry. Excuse me. Gil Doucette.
I don't have anything.
Thank you, Gil. Kurt?
Yeah, we have a Wheatfield Enhancement Volunteers meeting tomorrow at 6:30 Community Center. Anybody that's interested in coming out and learning about some of the efforts our volunteers are putting into increased branding of Wheatfield along Niagara Falls Boulevard and also general beautification, please drop in. And then the other thing is LED streetlights has been an ongoing effort. I just wanted to provide a quick update on that. I think we're getting closer to the installation. I suspect we'll probably be ready to get going here as soon as the weather breaks. There was a billing discrepancy that we're trying to work through, but it feels like at this point we do have the right representatives at National Grid, and I think we're getting very close to getting the final paperwork signed so we can begin with the installation process.
That's good news, Kurt. Thank you. Anything else, Kurt?
Nope, that's all.
Okay, Randy Retzloff.
One question. Dave or Jesse, what is the status, do you know, or maybe you could find out for us, I've asked Paul, on Walmore Road. Over a year ago, they met with an information session about reconstructing Walmore Road, and I've never heard a word.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Paul. What do you got?
Should answer when I was up there. It's funny that you asked me this. I did talk to Jared Hill. He was on the trip out to Albany with us. They will be doing Walmore Road this year. But right now, everything's set for it to happen. They are not going to redo the bridge on Lockport Road. It's right around the corner, so they still doing both jobs in the same year. We just raised that. He did say, which I was surprised, they are not going to shut Walmore Road down. It will be open during the construction.
So it's going to happen this year. Thank you.
That's what he told me was going to happen this year. I didn't ask him to put it in writing.
Are they gonna grind it, you know?
I have no idea what they were going to do. They were going to pulverize it because it's got a concrete base. But they can't because there's county water lines and sewer lines underneath that, and they would end up blowing the lines right out of the ground. So I'm not sure exactly what if they're going to dig it out. I don't know. But he did say that they were going to do that this year.
Yeah, grid's underground too, because of the runway.
Yeah, that's where they ran into a lot of problems, was all the underground utilities that they have there because of the runway.
One other thing is, Don, I want to thank you and the guys from the town hall, Mike, and they're gone, and Lou, I know, that town hall, the hallway looks beautiful. Next year, right out to the door. Just keep going.
Thank you.
All right?
Sure. Will do.
And then the last thing is, when I was on the zoning board one time, we had a complaint because they were emptying the dumpster at 6 in the morning. This was at Bailey's, you know. I'm not sure what they're complaining, they left now, but with the headlights, I don't see how the headlights could be an issue because they're only open till 7 o'clock. So it could only be a delivery truck or the dumpster truck.
Yeah.
So that's all it could be, and maybe they could work the schedule if it is the dumpster truck.
Well, you know, I think you're right, Randy, but I think once they get the fence up and the screening up, you may not have that
Right.
problem. So,
Understood.
And I talked to Mr. Pelicano last week. He says as soon as the weather breaks, we will get the fencing and the screening and the plantings all in. And he assured me that, and he says, I'm going to have a celebration with all the town people because they're thrilled to be open. But again, it's a little bit early. So hopefully that'll work.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Randy. The only thing I want to announce is we're going to have the rain barrel and compost bin delivery again here at the town hall. And then the website will be opened up within the next week. It'll be through the Stormwater Coalition, May 13th, 14th, and 16th, which is, I believe, a Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And this year it's going to be a little bit different. It's not just going to be the town of Wheatfield. Any community that's involved with the Stormwater Coalition, which I'm going to reach out to them, they're eligible to purchase the rain barrels and compost bins at the same price that we get them. It would be Niagara Falls, Lewiston, Pendleton, Cambria, anybody that's in that Stormwater Coalition. So I know last year we had a good turnout. This year it should be much, much better. But again, May 13th, 14th, and 16th, and they have to be ordered through the website, and they will be told when to come in. But that website isn't up yet, but it will be within the next week. But just to kind of give you the heads up, and that's all I have. Our next meeting is March 23rd, 2020 at 7 o'clock. And any additional public input on anything we discussed tonight? Yes, Rita.
As part of the Wheatfield Enhancement volunteers, we've come up with a few suggestions, and I'm here right now to thank Paul and his crew for following up on our suggestion that we put some sort of direction on the boulevard to the town hall campus. And there are people who actually live in Wheatfield who don't know where it is, and if they can take their eyes off the road for just a second, they will see that it points down Maple Road, and I think that's a great step in the right direction. I would also want to know how you're going to get the word out to the community about this surcharge for picking up excess trash.
Well, again, the word out, I guess we can do it on the website. But the issue is it only happens once or twice a year, but when it does, and we just had one on Ward Road last week where they emptied the house and put it out on the road. And instead of the town giving them a notice and waiting 30 days before we can do anything, this way, Modern, we can contract them, they can pick up right away, and we put back on the taxes of the property owner.
We see on our street people that do remodeling on their homes, and they put their trash out for Modern in a way that is not easy for the workers to pick up. I mean, they just make a pile, and that's all there is to it.
Well, what Modern is doing, they have talked to all of their drivers, and if there's an excess amount of garbage, or garbage that's too heavy or not handleable, they are to contact the town. And when in turn we'll photograph it, they'll pick it up, and the homeowner will be charged.
Okay.
Okay, and the constables are also aware of it, and that when they're out doing their patrols, can look for the same thing. And what it does, it prevents the stuff from blowing all over, and I hate to say it, but when I saw this mess over here on Ward Road last week, people were stopping, going through it, just to see if maybe there's something there I can use.
Sure.
Well, they tear open the bags, and all of a sudden it's all over the place. So what it'll do is prevent that. We'll pick it up immediately.
Good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters. And Mike Zarbo, our emergency preparedness, and if you would like to attend. Yes? Or we're going to executive session for personnel? Would you like to attend? I'm sorry? I'm sorry? Yes. And Jesse, if you'd like to sit in with us too, for a few moments? Okay, and our constable, thank you. We made a motion, do I have a second? Do we, okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. We're in executive session, thank you.